Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
And
All right.
okay, it is 6 p.m. on Monday, July 22nd. This is a meeting of the Katuitt Fire District Prudential Committee. Can we start with the roll call? This is Mark Lynch.
Fran Parks.
Charlie Eager. Ray Perone.
I did talk to Seth very briefly today, who told me that he was going to try to make the meeting, but he might have to be working. So fingers crossed he will catch up with us a little later. Can we recite the Pledge of Allegiance? A pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and
To
republic
the republic
for which
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with
indivisible,
liberty and justice
and
for
justice
all.
for all. We have a public comment session before we get down to new business. If there's anyone with public comment.
I see Carol Zace has a public comment.
Okay, go ahead, Carol.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I had a chance to review the treasurer's report for the first time before the meeting, so I just have a couple questions for Ray and you and everyone. In the free cash section that you've posted, trying to get to it so I can use the right terminology, but if I don't, there's some of the items that you post have the article and the year, and some of them don't. And I was just wondering if there could, here I got to it. In particular, so I'm referring to the capital fund special article status, like the acquisition and maintenance / school property has the 2021-16, but the one below it, determination of building use and court cost to modify, doesn't have, and I'm assuming that's 2021-17. So I was wondering why the inconsistency. That was my
Hasn't
first.
been an issue in the past, but if people want the dates, I will make sure that they are included
Well,
in
you have-
future reports.
Yeah, okay, you have them someplace and not in others, so I just, yeah, that's all. And then is the management software for fire department administration, that $5,000, I'm just wondering if we could keep an eye on that for possible use for the website update I heard you speak about, not you, Ray, but I heard the Prudential Committee speak about back in June. So that was it.
We can't change the purpose of an article. We need the district to do that.
Okay,
It has to be done by the district.
okay, so that money's just pending until that's done.
Yeah, and in my comments, I was going to say that there are some articles that are eligible for closure. We can look at closure. The Prudential is empowered to close any article under $50,000 that had no debt. And there are several in that category.
Okay.
So that is something that we can look at. When you close it, it goes to general funds and becomes part of the free cash calculation for next year.
Right.
Prudential may want to consider delaying closing and repurposing it when we have a final disposition of the school property.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Patrick Lentil has a public comment.
Oh, mine is more of a question than an actual comment. In the 21 budget and the 21 allocation for the study of the school, it appears there was approximately 258,000 allocated to determine what to do with the school. And my question is, what has happened with that $258,000?
I would, right now, the only thing that I think is in there is the price for the Habib report to be redone and updated. The future expenditures in that category, I believe, will be largely determined by the committee that has been created to explore alternative uses for the school.
Well, my question is, what happened to the monies from 2021 that were supposed to be used to explore possibilities of the school?
It still remains.
So that's still available for the study of the school.
We
That's
didn't do
correct.
it in 21 because we didn't own the school then. You know, you can't go out to do a study on some building you don't own.
Yeah, this,
We didn't,
nope. Sorry, Fran, go ahead.
we didn't have ownership until November of 23.
Pat, we went over this in some detail at the special district meeting. There was the reason that Fran just pointed out, and also the way that was that article was worded, we interpreted it as it was in part to determine how much it would cost to demolish the building, and we gathered good information on that based on the demolition of the Marston Mill School, and we also gained good information from the Habib report about rehabilitation costs. So these articles allow the expenditure of money, but do not necessarily require the expenditure of money. But that money is still available for the study that the ad hoc school committee is going to give advice on, hopefully in the not too distant future.
That was my question. That money is still available for the study that we're working on in the ad hoc committee.
Yes.
I think that is correct. Ray will correct me if I'm wrong. You know, hopefully we don't need to spend all of that, but it is, but we will get bids and we will see how much it costs.
Right, hasn't some of that money already been spent on maintaining the present building?
No, I don't think we can do that.
Oh, okay,
I believe that's pretty specific about alternate uses. And we have another article that addresses school maintenance.
okay.
And I believe the school maintenance number is like 15,800 or 15,600 that remain. And we're gonna talk about that a little later in the meeting.
Correct.
Any other public comment?
Yes, Patty Daly has raised her hand.
Oh, good.
Okay, Patty, go ahead.
Thanks, Commissioner Park. Hi, Patty Daly, 45 Banfield Drive, Katuitt. I raised my hand because I wanted to speak to the discussion of the school later on in the agenda, but just to follow up on your response to Pat Lentel, I have a couple of thoughts regarding that. One is that the first reason that the board gives for not having done the study is that you didn't own the asset at the time. And my response, I guess, is that when it was voted in 2021, the voters knew full well that we didn't own the school at that point. Now, if the committee had made an effort to actually go ahead and move forward with the study, a reuse study, you could have asked the town for permission to get entry for your consultants to actually do the study. If the town had said, no, we're not going to give you that permission, then you would have at least tried to carry out the functions of the article. And it would have been because of the lack of approval by a third party out of your control that you did not therefore pursue it. So that's just my thought about that. And secondly, to the argument that that Article 17 merely called for tasks and those tasks have been somehow otherwise done, I again would disagree. Article 17 was looking at needs and reuse. That is not a demolition study. That's only part of it. And secondly, the Habib study didn't look at uses or needs. It only looked at rehabbing the building as a school. So I would say it does not logically follow that those two items sufficiently made up for what Article 17 called for. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And then regarding the school building itself and your discussion later on, I looked at the town's assessing website today, and I don't know if people are aware of this, but the Katuitt Elementary School is both appraised and assessed at over $4 million, that's with an M, dollars in value. So it's $4,054,700. That is an asset that belongs to all of us. And that is an asset for which the Prudential Committee has a fiduciary duty to at least maintain or not let it just lose value by demolition by neglect. So I'm not saying until we know what to do with the building ultimately that you should go in and do some full-blown repairing, but I am saying let's not let it get worse on your watch. And I hope you keep that in mind when you discuss this later. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Suffice it to say that we're going to have to continue to agree to disagree on this. We've been over it multiple times, again, at the special district meeting in particular, and we disagree with that assessment. We will be talking about the vandalism at the school and what to do about that a little later in the meeting. Anybody else with public comment?
There are no more public comments or hands raised.
All right, let's go to the treasurer's report. Ray, you're up.
Thank you. This is the first look at fiscal 24. There's more work to be done on encumbrances, which will affect expenditures, cash reconciliations that I'm working on, and accruals, basically balance sheet items by and large, but some of them will impact some of the expenditures. For example, we currently show a $5,000 negative variance in fire department salaries, but we are aware that we are going to be receiving reimbursement for the chief's end of year deployment in an amount just about equal to that negative variance. So that should go away as we work through the year-end adjustments. Looking at things as they stand, overall collections were $357,000 over budget, and expenditures were $313,000 under budget. An admirable performance by the managers. Tax collections, looking at revenue, tax collections are mixed. Real estate was 99% of the levy, but personal property was only 84%. Strangely, in the past 2 years, personal property has been 10,000 points below real estate collections, whereas in the previous 3 years, it was always equal to real estate collections. I encountered the same feature or the same phenomena in my other district, West Barnstable. I contacted the collector, really didn't have an answer. I'm going to continue to pursue this because it is rather strange that for a number of years the collections were equal, and now for the last 2 years they haven't been. I want to check with some of my other treasurers to see if they indeed are having the same experience, and then pursue it with the town.
Ray, let me interrupt you there. Did I mishear you? I thought you said 10,000 points.
10 percentage points, excuse me. Thank you
okay.
for the correction.
Okay. So the private property assessment is down inexplicably, is the thrust of your comment.
It was running at 84% and real estate collections are 99% of the levy, which the levy becomes our budget.
Okay.
And the same phenomena happened last year. But then when you go back and you look at 2022, 21, 20, they're all within a percentage point of each other. So it's just a strange phenomena that I think is worth pursuing to see if we, if something has changed, something's going on. We got to be aware of it. Fortunately, penalties and interest and liens more than made up for the personal property shortfall, and overall tax collections came in at 100%. Water department revenue, at least I'm staying on the first page and just going to cover that, my comments from that. The water department revenue was 16% over budget, and that's despite the fact that water pumped was down 23% from fiscal 23. This is due to setting the budget low, which we do historically, and also good collection performance. The figure that I have listed as revenue for antenna, apparently there's a misclassification we caught as we were preparing the report and didn't really have time to change it. I sent out the report Sunday night, and we still do some of our checks on Monday. Found out there's a misclassification. Overall water department revenue is accurate, but the money will move from antenna to solar. And it's about, I think it was $16,000 or so that'll move. And it'll bring antenna more in line with what it was last year. Looking at the fire department ambulance collections were up. Actually, when you pull the revenue apart, regular ambulance collections were up 18%, and our annual MassCar grant was down a few $1,000s, ending up overall with the 10% or so increase in ambulance revenue. And again, kudos to Lisa for preparing the MassCar. It's a hideously detailed calculation of the cost of operating our ambulance as opposed to operating all the other equipment, and then applying that cost to all our calls and distinguishing between Medicare and regular calls. A lot of analysis, but it earned us $41,000 this year. Interest is really the last component I was going to talk about, and it was $80,000 for the year, up substantially from last year, and well up from the budget, which we historically set very low. And we set the budgets low for the state to avoid what is called a revenue deficit, which is very problematic and something that we strive to avoid and have indeed avoided it this year. Looking at expenditures, I mentioned the salary deficit in fire department, which we think will be cured not only by the $25,000 we moved from the reserve account to that budget line, but also by the deployment that we will be receiving from the chief's year-end deployment.
And Ray, remind us, the $25,000 that we moved was related to injury time for the fire department. Is that correct?
That is correct. Injury time, and I forget exactly what the terminology is, but also incident response. When the on-duty firefighters go out on call, in order to be ready for a subsequent call, certain firefighters will come into the station and be paid for that attendance. So that, as well as the injured time, was a factor in needing that transfer.
I don't remember that part of it. I thought it was just injury time. Any delineation as to what was injury time and what was, what are you calling the second category?
I don't have it at the tip of my tongue. I can find out by reference. Let me see if I can quickly give you an answer on that.
Thanks. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Incident, I'm trying to find it, bear with me.
Oh, you mean that quickly? I thought you meant in a day or so.
That'll be fine. The only other, we also moved $4,000 from the reserve to Prudential salaries, and that actually did avoid a $2,500 negative variance, and that was simply due to extra time being required for a number of projects, both by the assistant treasurer and by myself. The one variance that we did miss in the salary category is Freedom Hall, and we missed that by $171. So shame on me for not asking for a couple $100 to cover that. It was just hard to estimate what the that last payroll was going to come in at, and so we ended up with a few more dollars for Freedom Hall than we thought. Not a major kind of issue. All the other categories in operations were below the article appropriation, and we're also below the component identification that we report in the appropriations. For example, maintenance for the fire department, water department, Freedom Hall. Water department also has service connections that they report on separately, and then miscellaneous for everybody. All of those categories came in under the listed amount in the appropriation. So everyone adhered to the budget quite well. The articles are all within the respective appropriation. As noted earlier, I was simply going to point out that there's only $15,000 left in that maintenance account as we address the necessary steps to address the vandalism. And also, I mentioned as earlier in my response that there are some ones that we can consider closing or defer for use in the disposition of the school property. All funds are reconciled except the general fund and the expenditures I was working on and just ran out of time to get that done. So I'll finish that up. I don't anticipate any problems with that. Any questions on the preliminary look at fiscal 24? If
No.
not, I'm going to turn to another subject that will impact us in the future. The new chief at West Barnstable, I had a meeting with the auditors. I'm not exactly which auditors because I wasn't there, and to discuss the signing process for warrants. Apparently the auditors were not aware that warrants were signed after expenditures were issued. And there were other parts of the discussion about what kind of copy, electronic or hard, needed to be retained. Since the auditors, the West Barnstable auditors are all our auditors, the implication is that we'll be having to address this issue as well. I've had conversations with the managing partner of their auditors. He was unaware of the conversation and a little bit troubled by it. I am
How so? What do you mean? He was a little bit troubled by it? That it
He
occurred?
doesn't like people issuing instructions and advice. There's only a few people in the firm that are allowed to do that.
Got it.
So we're trying to find out exactly what was said, and also I'm in conversation with the Department of Revenue to find out their position. But it would appear that worst case is that we will have to have signatures before we issue the checks for the accounts payable warrant, and more troublesome, the payroll audit. The auditors, which apparently is incorrect, suggested to the West Barnstable that they could designate one person to do that. My contacts so far in the Department of Revenue say that's not true. So we may have a situation where Monday morning every other week, and I guess Wednesday morning on the intervening weeks, we'll have to have two members of the Prudential available. Fortunately, because of the work that largely Lisa has done setting up the electronic signatures, we're in good shape in terms of getting those signatures. I'm confirming with the Department of Revenue that the electronic signature is valid, and we don't have to go to archaic hard copy. I will advise you as I learn more about this issue.
Ray, Assistant Treasurer here speaking, I can assure you that I'm not able to produce a VEDAR document about a payroll or AP warrant for signatures until it's been posted. And also I can assure you that the auditors confirmed in person to me that they were absolutely fine with a digital signature process.
What auditors are you talking to, and when did you talk to them? Did you
Whoever
represent yourself as talking about Katuitt?
I am only working for Katuitt, and I met them at the fire station upstairs.
You spoke with the auditor, excuse me, you spoke with the auditors?
Yes, they visit. We do everything remotely until the last day when they appear at the fire station, and I meet them together and we talk. And they grab any paper records they ask for, but most of what I provide them is in digital form. They confirm that the digital process works for them. We can track down the names
Well,
of
it's
the people
interesting.
who met me at the station.
I don't think it's advisable for people to speak with the auditors without the person who's in charge of the audit present.
I would tend to agree with that. I think we need to have a longer discussion about our auditors and the audit process, which should probably really be directed by the members of the Prudential Committee not directed by, but that should be the point of contact, I think. But this is a whole new topic upon which I definitely want to get Ray and Lisa's opinion. But let's focus on the issue you raised. I mean, how long have we been doing it this way?
Probably I've been around 7 years. Mike Daly set it up. I think Mike Daly and Fran, you probably know. Mike Daly, who is considered a expert in municipal treasury and accounting matters, probably set it up when he first came here. Fran can
Shortly
correct me.
thereafter.
Pardon?
Shortly thereafter.
Shortly thereafter. So it's been something that we've been doing for at least 10 years with 2 sets of auditors, and instituted, as I said, by a guy who, to all accounts, is a respected and known expert in municipal accounting and treasury.
My immediate reaction is this is all kind of secondhand, and no one has asked us to do this yet. Have you
No one
reached?
has asked what, I'm sorry, Mark,
No one's asked us to do this. Have they officially asked West?
no, they have not officially, they've not officially asked, and candidly, until I get some sort of clarity from the Department of Revenue, which I will then circle back with the auditor and enlighten them about that conversation.
How about we go to the auditors first and find out whether this is a rogue employee running amok, or they've changed their mind on the process they've been happy with for the last 10 years.
I think that the answer to that, Mark, is I spoke, as I said, to the managing partner. His position is on it. It's historically been the case that warrants have to be signed before disbursements are issued. That is historically, his phrase was for the last 100 years. Surprise, surprise. So the audit position has been communicated to me. There was some confusion in what was relayed to me about electronic and hard copy. I think that in 2001, the state recognized electronic record retention. So I don't think that will be an issue. I think that was more confusion on the part of people who attended the West Barnstable meeting. So I think it's clear that we have to migrate to a pre-disbursement signature model.
Even though our auditors have not recommended that to us.
The auditors are claiming that they were unaware that the warrants were signed after the checks were issued.
And this is, we're talking about West Barnstable now.
No.
And the same will hold true for Katuitt.
Okay, but
You have the same auditors, you have the same rules.
have you, who is your primary contact at the auditors?
I talk with the managing partner.
Okay, and have you had a discussion with him or her on this topic?
Yes, I did. As I said, his comment is that historically, it has always been a requirement that the signatures occur, Prudential signatures and Treasury signatures occur before the checks are actually issued, or in the case of payroll, before the direct deposits are issued. So it's clear that, and he was, as he said, I was unaware that you guys were doing it that way. I said, well, we didn't try to mislead you. And he agreed. He said that there just was a misunderstanding.
Well, that is a whopper of a misunderstanding for an auditor not to understand, would be my comment. Okay, what are our next steps here?
I think our next step is just to be aware that we're going to have a change. Wait till I finish my conversations with the Department of Revenue and any conversations I have with the auditors, and then I will propose a procedure for you that you will be able to approve at the next meeting.
Fran has a question about this.
No, I was just gonna say that prior, when I first came on the committee, the warrants were only signed once a month by the committees, and then the bills were paid. And obviously, the problem was that a lot of payments were very late. And, and now we've got it down to where, payments are on time. I think that if we have to sign it before it goes out, fine, it takes 2 minutes to do it. After you, review it, review what's being spent or purchased or the salaries, then you just sign it and send it on. So I don't think it should be a big hassle to, change when we sign it. Might be more likely to be a hassle for Lisa than for us, in my opinion. Thank you.
I don't disagree with you, Fran. I'm just kind of floored by the idea that we've been doing it this way for 10 years and the auditors didn't know. And upon finding out about it, don't approve. But you're right, it is something that is probably fixable with some amount of, hopefully.
We didn't have these auditors for the whole 10 years. This was going on.
No, we had 2 sets. I would just point out that I believe that the same conditions exist in all of the fire districts. I know that I was told that Hyannis is now changing their procedures. So I believe this is all the districts probably did it the same way.
Yeah.
Certainly with respect to payroll.
Okay,
Moving on.
moving on.
That's all I had.
Ray, can you address the status of the paychecks issue?
Oh, I'm sorry. I reached out to Andrew, and he informed me that he had delegated it to an associate and hoped to have an answer for us this week.
Terrific. You'll let us know.
I will let you know as soon as I know.
Okay, thanks. The next issue is the redlining effort for the annual report, which was not approved at the annual meeting because of typos. And Lisa, thank you. You've sent along the redline version and what I'll call a clean version. My thought is that if we can take a look at that document between now and our next Prudential committee meeting, can we be in a position as a committee to approve the redlined version or to give our comments on the redlined version? Does that seem like a reasonable target, Fran?
I've already read the document and I approve the red line version. So.
All right. So I will reach out to Seth. I will take a look at myself, and then I suppose next year or next month rather, we can simply say this is the new redlined version, and then we will have to wait until the next annual district meeting to have it approved.
Have it approved, yeah.
Okay, there's no reason not to be done with it as soon as possible. So let's proceed in that fashion.
Mark, this is Lisa. Can I just say that Charlie, the district as a whole doesn't see the annual report. Charlie Eager, the clerk, receives reports from departments, committees, commissioners, all over the place. No one sees it as a whole until the printed version is sent out. Lugene told me they received the printed version in both paper, PDF, and Word document form. So if you are interested in revising the way this is reviewed prior to it being printed, then you guys are going to have to come to an agreement about that review process prior to spending hundreds of dollars on the printed version. But that's a step after you all figure out this particular annual report.
Yeah, that's a good point, Lisa. I don't think it was clear at the annual meeting that the Prudential Committee recommends the approval of the annual report. So it's probably our duty to read it before it gets printed. You would like to think that the various proponents of different parts of the report would proofread it, but maybe that's not the case. If we're gonna vote to or recommend that it be approved, we should probably be the final proofread. And Lisa, if you can remind us at our next meeting to discuss that as well.
Okay.
Okay, the next topic is the Katuitt School. There's a number of concerning issues, primarily the continuing vandalism at the school. I got a call at 12:30 a.m. one night that people had broken into the school. The police were looking for a key to get inside and do an inspection. The fire department aided us in that circumstance. There was another incident a couple of days later in the middle of the day where it looked like it was adults, judging from people kind of running from the building before the police arrived, which to me, it's bad enough. Any kind of vandalism is bad enough, but when when it's a bunch of rowdy teenagers, it's different from from one or more adults. We need to figure out what to do. Right now, am I correct in saying that the electricity is on in the school? I believe that's correct. Are
Yes.
the lights on in the school, or do
Yes.
they are? Have we gotten any camera footage from the incidents where
No, there are no cameras,
they're just motion detectors?
just motion detectors, correct. Can I discuss the incident with the man who ran from the building a little further?
If you would like to, if that's necessary.
Well, I think it's necessary. I didn't respond to that. Lisa responded to that. And when she got there, there was a man sitting in a car with a dog. So she assumed it was a dog walker. And then some guy came around from the back of the school, zoomed into the car, and they took off. And it was later determined that one of these people had a long record. And so I think, I mean, it's not just kids that are doing this. And I don't think that anything that we do is going to deter anyone from doing things to that school. Either, the windows in the front have been broken because somebody decided it was fun to throw rocks at the windows. We've looked into completely boarding up the building, but that's a huge expense. And, we're at risk of, if there's a fire or something, somebody dying inside. I think everything being equal, what we need to do is decide as soon as possible what we're going to do with the place. And because this is just going to continue. I don't know how many people saw the condition of the Marston's Mill School before that was torn down, but that was completely destroyed inside and out. And there was not a single intact window in the building. And there was plenty of evidence that had been used by people with illegal drugs. And, you know, that's just as certain to happen here. And I just don't think that, you know, spending a huge amount of time discussing, you know, what we're going to do with the school is not productive. You know, we need to figure out, you know, what we're going to do it and get it over with. Thank you.
Well, I don't, well, here's the thing. We have no money to demolish the school.
That's
So,
right.
nothing is going to happen on this until May. I don't think that we can just, well, we've got $15,000 in a maintenance budget.
15.
15, yeah.
15, like 15.6. You know, I'm a little pessimistic about how much we can prevent, but it seems like it is worthwhile trying to prevent break-ins there. I am contemplating some kind of outdoor motion sensor with spotlights so that the side of the building closest to the water well could be lit up when people go near it. We could spend some money getting rid of the vegetation near the school. Although frankly, there's no vegetation on the side of the school near the water well, so I'm not sure how that would help. I think we have to try something additional.
We could hire someone other than members of the Prudential Committee to answer the alarms.
Well, that is the problem. I know Fran has gotten calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've gotten calls at 12:30 in the morning. You know, we can ask that there's always someone on at the fire department, but that's not really their job.
That's, yeah.
Well, I'm open to suggestion, but I don't think that doing nothing is an option. Additional,
Mark, I've had my hand up for a while now.
well, Pat, it's public commentary is at the end of the meeting, and we will have additional public comment. Unfortunately, that's the way this works, fortunately or unfortunately.
Mark, I can tell you, this is the assistant treasurer talking. The fire chief informs me that if you have a permitted alarm, which we now do, motion sensor alarm, we are required to have at least 2 people related or property owners or related to property owners who will be on the call list, who will respond and will be willing to meet the police to reset the alarm. If one of those persons, if both of those persons are not willing to do it, then it defaults to the fire department employees. However, since we clearly have an elevated criminal intent going on, which could indeed include drug trafficking based on the previous event that was witnessed, then it's not reasonable for the district to allow its employees to be subjected to increased hazard and exposure to that kind of thing. So that is why movement needs to go forward on this. I don't think the Prudential Committee wants to absorb increased liability of endangerment of the district employees.
Well, Lisa, we totally agree with that, and we thank you for being on that list and understand completely that why you wanted to remove yourself, and I understand that that's happened, and that's good. You know, on the other hand, I'm sure Fran doesn't want to go over there at 2 in the morning. I'm sure I don't want to go over there at 2 in the morning. let me talk to Chief Brown about what it is about the particular type of alarm that we have that requires attendance at 3 in the morning.
I would say that's any alarm that the police answer.
Yeah,
That's probably it. I mean, what happens if someone breaks into an ongoing a school in use? Does someone call the principal and the principal has to go out at 3 in the morning? Or the custodian?
Yeah. Probably some of the maintenance people have to go out.
Okay, let me call Sean.
I think that the other point about this is that any plan for future use of that building will have to take into account and make provision for continued vandalism.
Yeah, it is kind of hidden away back there. Freedom Hall, for example, is right on Main Street. This is tucked back there, and if it's an operating building, I think that will lessen the kind of activity we're seeing. But this may be a situation where that maintenance bill is spent just putting out motion detecting spotlights, which my guess is the neighbors will not be happy about. I did talk to briefly to the Barnstable Police Department about their suggestions, and their first thought was fencing around the entire school, which would not be cheap, and frankly, I don't know how effective that would be. All right, I'll follow up with Chief Brown. Let me just add one more thing. There was a suggestion that we simply board up the whole building. Chief Brown's reaction to that, based on prior conversations, is that in his experience, that is very troublesome, because once you board up all the entire building, people still find a way to get inside, and then you can't see what they're doing.
We can't see what they're doing now.
Well,
You can't see what they're doing now.
well, there are some of the windows are still intact.
Yeah.
And
No one's looking in the window.
Yeah,
Certainly not even the police.
yeah, the police come when the alarm goes off. Let me talk to Sean, see what he says. But the current situation is untenable, is my view. Very briefly, the status of the ad hoc committee on the school. It's making progress. Our remit is fairly narrow, which is to come up with a document that we think will be maybe 4 to 5 pages long, with a kind of list of suggestions that might aid the Prudential committee in drafting, or having another person draft the request for production. We had a brief discussion at our last meeting about how long that would take. Suffice it to say, there was a mix of opinion, but I would say a majority of the committee thought that maybe we were a little closer than we might think. And the plan is to get a document, as I say, 4 to 5 pages, that lays out the options for what the school building could potentially be used for, and has some criteria for aiding and picking the contractor, and some other similar materials. But I'm hopeful that we will not need till August 15th to have that done, but we shall see. We will have another meeting tonight beginning at 6:30. Another issue is a tour of the building. Some members of the committee are interested in that. I am okay with that. I would like to hear Fran's comments. There, there are people in there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that would be another risk that would be entailed. Fran,
I don't think it's safe for the members of the public to go there. I wanted to have our last annual meeting before last in the school, and the health department said nobody should be going in that school because of the health risks. Also, there literally is broken porcelain, broken light bulbs, broken fluorescent bulbs all over the school, all over the floor, along with, broken pieces of wood in the gym. It's just not, it's really a hazardous place to walk into. And it's just not, I would not recommend it. You've seen a map of what the school looks like. And that should be sufficient. Looking at what's the destruction that's been done is not terribly interesting, in my opinion.
at some point when we do this study, people will be in there, architects will be in there. And that may be a time for this to occur. There will have to be people in there, but they will be, professionals. Yeah, I've been in there multiple times. And I've been in there with people who continue to insist that the building is in quote great shape, close quote. And I don't know, I guess one sees what one wants to see.
Well, I think before the architects go in there, we're going to need to have probably a hazmat crew go in to clean it up. Because when a fluorescent tube breaks, it goes absolutely everywhere. So
They will be the experts on that.
Yeah.
Fran, could you just give us a Reader's Digest version of what the request for proposal process looks like?
Well,
as relates to this study, of course.
As it relates to this building, first we would go out for a request for consultants, for architects to, like Habib, to come and evaluate the building and look at it. And then they would be the ones that would write the request for proposals for bidders to bid on the work at the building. And that's, in short, that's what the fire commissioners are doing with the new fire station. They went first to architects to look at the building, to tell them what they need, and they've gone out for requests for drawings of the building, the architectural drawings of the building and the plans that they would need for that. And then after that, then they would go out looking for someone qualified builder to do the building.
So, but our request for proposal will be searching for some kind of entity to undertake this study, which is to tell us how much it's going to cost to demolish the building, to demolish part of the building,
Right.
to demolish multiple different sets of the building.
That should be, the architect should be able to tell us that.
Okay, yeah, the architects will be producing a written study delineating that and
Yes.
giving a presentation as per the warrant passed at the special district meeting.
I guess I don't recall that was on the warrant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was on the special district meeting warrant. Okay. I do have one more item. we spoke briefly a couple meetings ago about our website and the possibility of updating that. John Havel, sorry, has volunteered to do that. Not the updating of the website, but the redesign of the website. John is someone who volunteered to be on the ad hoc committee. I would like to take advantage of his expertise. First, assuring that it's not kind of too big of an ask of him. But I'd like to see what we could do with that website to make it more appealing, and then determine some kind of entity. Right now, Lisa, as one of her many hats she wears, updates that. But it would be nice to have an outside organization to update that on a regular basis. There are some parts of it I think that work quite well, and other parts not well at all. Thoughts on that?
Mark?
Yeah.
Lisa here. There is a question about whether we own the website. It turns out the town of Barnstable originated it, and
No. Sorry, Lisa, no. We had when this website was designed, we had somebody in Katuitt who was the webmaster. And so when she left, we had to move it to another site to be the hold our web. And it's at the county web, county IT department currently is who's hosting our website.
oh, okay, apologies. I said town, I meant county. But it is not just hosting. I believe the paperwork, and I have dug it out before, but I believe the paperwork has some sort of control issue about that. The updating of various pages is not a problem, but the ability to design and change the design based on this this process that is used is not suited to
Correct.
a website for a municipality. So I have very little control about the design, the contents. I really, the design needs to be redone, but I believe the district itself has the ability to maintain updates to various pages once the entire thing has been redesigned.
Yeah, Lisa, if I gave the wrong impression, Lisa did not design this. She updates it. So are we saying that we would need to create our own website to be able to design this?
When Pete and some of his friends who were web designers worked on a new design for the web page, but the problem they stumbled on was when they got to the county, they wouldn't implement it. And that was the problem in not getting it updated a couple of years ago.
Any reason why we just couldn't have our own website?
Well, you have to, I mean, we could go to Meganet. That's who the fire department has, I believe, as their web host site, but you have to have a host site.
You also have to be able to know that you own the URL,
Yeah.
KatuittFireDistrict.org. That's unclear.
Fran, I didn't hear you. What was the organization that hosts the fire department's website?
Lisa, doesn't Meganet host their website or part of their website?
No. The
Okay.
Katuitt Fire is part of the whole county site.
Okay, yeah.
Another thing such as Meganet or something else could host it, but the fact is, do we even have the ability to move KatuittFireDistrict.org and KatuittFire.org and KatuittWater.org to another host. There's an ownership issue. That's something that needs to be looked into.
Well, it's very difficult to get a hold of anybody at the county to speak to, as Ray knows. Trying to get a hold of the director of the IT department is an exercise in futility, in my experience.
So tell me again about the fire department. They're part of the county website as well? Or they have their own website?
No, they're part of our website, Katuitt Fire District and Katuitt Water is hosted by the county.
As is Katuitt. And look, it's all under KatuittFireDistrict.org. Everyone's under that.
Including the fire department?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and do they update their section?
They update their various pages, as does the water department, as does the Prudential Committee representative. But we also don't have any control over all of the various pages and the old posts and the format. It's really hard to navigate around that.
It's hard to navigate around the website right now, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's so poorly designed.
Okay, and again, any reason why we just couldn't go out and host our own website?
That is something you will have to explore with the Barnstable County. Can the URL of KatuittFireDistrict.org be moved away from the county to our own independent hoster?
Okay, and what happens if we wanted to not use KatuittFireDistrict.org? We just, how about CFD.org? Well, let me talk to John, and we need solutions. But I can't believe that this was set up at the county and that's it. We're done forever and there's nothing we can do about it. I just can't believe that that's the answer. Maybe it is, but let me talk to John. And I understand there's another gentleman at the Katuitt-Santuit Civic Association who's also adept at this, and get their thoughts.
I would also urge you to contact the fire chief, who can give you, if appropriate, the contact to the fire department's tech guy, who has attempted to explore this already.
What's his name? Do you know?
Pete Emerson, but I wouldn't contact him directly. I would go through the fire chief because they
I'll go
have,
through-
yeah.
Thank you.
He's not doing as much of that as he was because he was using too much of his work time. He's running the kettle ho now. You might want to talk to him there.
No.
That seems like a good excuse. Will I be able to write off the beer?
Yeah.
All right. Are there any items of new business not raised by my agenda? Okay, that we have.
How about public comment?
Yes, that's where we're getting.
Okay,
Let me
thank
just
you.
say one
Sorry.
thing before we get there. There is a 30 p.m. meeting of the school ad hoc committee. This meeting will have to end and the new meeting begin. That is, everyone will have to log off of Zoom and then log in again, which shouldn't be a big deal, but just so we know that. Then yes, the last item is public comment.
So there are two hands raised, Patty Daly and Patrick Linton.
I believe Mr. Lintel was first.
So my question goes back to the budget and the financials. How much of a reserve does the Katuitt Fire District, I think I'm asking for the proper entities, what is our reserve and what is it composed of?
Ray, do you know,
He's
did
looking it
that?
up.
Okay,
Ray, you're muted.
I'm trying to get to the document so I can respond to that. And my eyes. Our reserves, our stabilization fund as of June 30th was $738,686. The water department has its own stabilization fund. That is $211,277. Those are our standing reserves. Monies are set aside in the capital fund, including $340,000 for the ultimate disposition of the school property. So those are the funds that are available, have been appropriated, are available and or appropriated for the school project.
let me interrupt you for a second. The water stabilization fund does not have to go towards the water department.
No, I'm sorry. It does have to go towards the water department. I just listed it. I should not have included that, and is money available for the school disposition.
Okay.
So my question is, if there's been approximately 250,000 that's been authorized for the expenditure of finding out what to do with the school, what's the other $90,000 appropriated for?
There is $340,000 appropriated to help fund the final disposition, that is, creation of whatever the committee comes up with, or demolition. And then I also gave you the general stabilization fund, since you asked for reserves.
That's correct. Of the $340,000, how much can be actually expended for maintenance of the building?
None. The purpose is approved in the district meeting for the final disposition of the school property, be it civic center or demolition.
So you stated earlier, there's $15,800 for maintenance of the building. Where is that money reserved?
I'm not sure I understand.
Article 16.
I mean, where is the 16? You mean it's
Where's
held
the
in,
$15,800?
it's held in cash.
Is
that's
that a
what you're
special
asking.
reserve?
That's
No,
a
it's not in
special
a
cap.
reserve. Excuse me, Lisa.
Yeah.
It's not in a reserve. It's in appropriated funds held in cash in the capital fund.
And has been expended on a new alarm system and a lot of plywood,
Electricity.
electricity.
So the 340,000 is for the final disposition, you're saying? Which
That's
is
correct.
made up of the 200,000 plus the 50,000 plus another 90,000?
I'm sorry, I don't follow your math.
If you go to
The
2020,
200 and it's actually 203,000 remaining for the disposition of the school property. That's what that is for, and that is frankly the only other thing that is within that appropriation is a special district meeting to approve that final disposition.
so back in 21,
Hang on a minute, Ray, I think that part of the proposed warrant at the special district meeting was amended to delete, if I recall.
When was that done?
at the special district meeting. The part about
Yep.
call another special district meeting? Is that what you're referring to?
No, the, the
The
Article
original-
17 was basically repeated twice in the special district meeting warrant. And so the second time was deleted. So that it was just Article 17, the money in Article
Yeah.
17 was just
Yes, the
referenced
whole article was
once.
deleted.
Okay,
Referenced once. Yeah. And the 200,000 is for the RFP. And and then the other funds are for the cost of demoing the building or partially demoing the building, or is that correct, Ray?
That's correct.
That's correct, yeah.
Whatever is decided as the final disposition,
Right.
we have $340,000 available to fund that.
Well, we have 200,000 reserved right now for the study.
Correct.
okay, Patty, you had something too?
I did, thank you. Very quickly, regarding the issue with the building and vandalism, Mr. Chair, I'd suggest you might want to meet with both Chief Brown and the Barnstable Police Department at the same time. That might be a more efficient way of getting at security for that. Regarding the tour of the building, that was discussed at the last ad hoc committee meeting. Everybody's willing to sign a waiver. I was in that building with you, Mark, a couple months ago, and I don't think any of us are going to incur massive injury by just walking around in there. So I would suggest we should have a tour of the building. And regarding the RFP process, I did not understand Commissioner Parks's comments about the RFP process. It sounded like you're going to have Habib write the RFP and then put it out. So perhaps we could talk about it in the subcommittee meeting.
Fran, please, go ahead. I thought I heard you say incorrect.
That is incorrect. I was just made Habib as an example of an architectural firm and not write the RFP.
Thank you.
We have another gentleman for public comment, Stephen.
Thank you. I wasn't quick enough on the draw when Ray was presenting, so I apologize, but it looked like there were about $600,000 in expenditures above budgeted revenue. Is that how I read that?
No, I think if
Could you
I
go
gave
back
you
to
that
that pro-
impression, I gave you the wrong impression. You recall I said that all operational expenditures were at or under the appropriated articles.
Yeah,
So
if,
there's,
if it's not too much trouble, Ray, if you could put that front sheet back up, I'll show you exactly what it was that I'm referring
Sure.
to. That
can you do that, Lisa?
I'm working on it. Hold on. You should see it now. Do you see
yeah,
it?
thank you. Yeah, so you have $4.6 million in total revenue. And on the bottom, it says total expenditures, and it's 5.3. So that was, again, I don't know how to read that any other way, except to say that you're $600,000 over budget.
No, the budget revenue, it's not like a commercial enterprise where revenue determines the budget. You could legally have revenue of $1 million and expenditures of $10 million and be within budget. The budget is only for expenditures. That's what all the appropriations are for. Revenue is, if you will, another ledger. The budget for the revenue is set by the tax levy and what we communicate to the state as our expectations for collections on such things as ambulances, water rates, etc.
So the reality is that there's a there's possibilities every year that you will run a deficit.
No,
No,
no. You could run a deficit every year. That was what I gave you the example. Because the budget is covering expenditures, not revenue versus expenditures.
Wow.
That's called municipal accounting.
And we don't teach that in the business school.
yeah, well,
No, they don't actually, and they don't really teach it in accounting school
Yeah.
either. You'd have to go to a master's in public administration to get something like that.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else have their hand up in the public comment section?
yes, Carol did.
Carol Zeiss.
Hi, just real quick, because I know we've got another meeting coming up. Just if you are looking for other people to cover the alarms, you also have 6 other commissioners, and everybody could take 2 months out of the year as a possibility. In regards to the website, having worked with John Havel on developing the website and Dave Fravel, these 2 people know a ton and can look into what the issues are, or you can also purchase your own URL in the future. But I'm not a techie. They are great techies to work with, and I highly recommend them. And that was it.
Hey, Carol, just remind me, I know John's name, the other gentleman's name, remind me.
I don't, until I talk with him, I shouldn't really give out, I mean, I
Okay.
can give out his name, but I don't know that he'll can volunteer. But when we redid the Katuitt Santuit Civic Association website, we worked as a committee to figure out what the format was with the guidance of these people who do it. Then John developed the website, but we had another member of the Civic Association write all the new content. And then I reviewed all the new content and, as another reader. And then now Dave is the one who updates it on a regular basis. So it's a multi-person, it's a multi-volunteer effort. It was in the beginning, we had like a committee of 4 or 5, and we, really broke down what we were trying to say and what tabs we wanted and what information we wanted. And it's a great thing to do, but it's not, I mean, finding out who's hosting your URL right now and who owns that URL is just a little part of it. And I know John has been volunteered. I'm always happy to work, and we can find out if Dave is too, and just help you guys go through it, because to get to a platform that's easier to update for Jen and the fire department and Prudential would be really, I think, advantageous.
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
See you soon.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.